tonight is sick. My name is Chris O'Brien and I will be chairing the meeting. So I'd like to start off by making a roll call.
Yeah, we have an agenda.
Hold on right now.
Jim's president.
I didn't program that either.
Announcements, if any? New business? Committee updates from chair?
Are you taking the notes?
Yeah. Okay, just do this then.
Do you have any announcements from
So, sorry.
It's supposed to be Andrew, Aggie, DJ, Chris, Charlie, Adam, and Frank. Absent is John. That's it right there. And or. Go ahead. Are you busy?
Yes, I got it.
Hey guys. John. Very sure.
How are you? Hey. Long time to see. How you doing? All right? Good. It's looking good.
We have to apologize, we're just waiting for paperwork to come in. Do we have any announcements or do we have any?
Well, I have, I'm trying to find it while I'm doing this, so I probably, there's no internet service here, so it's taking me a little longer to find stuff. So I would like two things. One, to congratulate our men's and ladies club champs that they played their final round on Sunday. So congratulations to Peter Brichelia and Peggy Flanagan for the ladies. So I just thought we should announce that. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if this is a suggestion for our commission or it's just going to be a statement, but there are a lot of member requests, and requests that come to us for review and consideration. And I think as we have these requests come forward, not that we don't, but I think we need to look at the totality of the request and the impact those requests make on not only the individual who's requesting it, but the other people or club that it's impacting. And I would like to put, I guess it's a motion, I suppose, that we create some form of guidelines on when we have to make these decisions, that we look at the full implications of those decisions and the impact to everybody involved. There's a particular situation, I don't want to discuss it in an open forum, but I just think that we need to be more diligent about the consequences or the decisions that we make and the effect it has on others.
So, are you talking about email traffic, or you want to be a little more specific on that?
You know, when situations come through the club, through Jim, or through Mike as requests from member requests, most of the time there is some involvement that we have to have in looking at the information and making decisions based on those requests. And it varies what those requests are. Some are, we see all types of requests. But when we make those decisions, we have to just think of the other people impacted. I can't go into the detail. I don't think it's the right setting and the forum for it. So if we can take it offline or go into an executive session, I can go into more detail. So.
But in concept, the idea of, I was thinking about the implication and also the precedent setting is something I do think we should think about. Personally, try to do that as we consider this. So I think in concept,
I am too.
Can you just read, because this whole, read the agenda tonight out loud?
So we're in the, I guess we don't really have the announcements. We're really ready to go to new business. I guess we have to go to announcement. Otherwise, it would be new business. And Angela's comment would be just a point of order.
What else is on it, so everybody knows?
So there's new business. I'll just read it.
Yeah.
committee updates, pool update, golf update, food and beverage update, and then there will be a number of membership requests, I guess, that we will look at. In the old business, approval of the minutes, assuming that you got those to look at. And then there's the outstanding issue on the junior golf request to modify certain points at which they can play. And then after that, it's the members wishing to be heard on non-agenda items, discussion of when the next meeting will be in the future.
So can we get a pool update now from Kerry in regards to what's going on with the pool?
Do you want to
And
do committee updates or just do briefly? It was on the agenda, so just a little.
all right.
Or you want to do pool first?
I think we'll go straight.
Wait up, Art said he might be running late. He had swimming and his other job, so can we hold on the pool and see if he shows up? So-
All right,
Because he
okay.
wanted to be part of it if we could.
All right, so can we do a golf update then from Chief Lafferty? Like Bradley said.
Might will be late.
Yeah, he'll be a little bit late.
We've completed a number of things since the last meeting. We did the binder coat on the 5th switchback, so that's a lot smoother now and much more easier to maintain instead of washing out all the time. The next one we'll work on is the 18th, which is a little bit longer, and I have to do a herbicide application to kill the weeds that have grown in that underlayment, so it doesn't come up through the binder coat that we applied. Probably start that this Monday, depending on how things shake out. It was difficult with number 5. Getting 2 tons at a time from the asphalt plant. We got 4 loads the first Monday, then the asphalt plant broke. We were going to continue Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday that week, but they were broken down and not able to do it. So we concluded that mission the following Monday. So it works out well, and I think we can do that type of work. And I don't know, you guys have driven on it. Do you think that's suitable for our needs there?
That's great.
Okay.
That's great.
We just had one of the toughest weather weeks that I've experienced in the 15 years of being a golf course superintendent. I think all the guys in the area would conclude that same thing. When Texas comes and hits us for 6, 7 consecutive days, it's a little difficult to even hang on to any bit of playability or green grass. But we hung on pretty well. We took some dings and bruises. You'll see some of the collars, it's very evident. The reason that is we have to shut off the irrigation in the evenings on the greens because we can't let the greens get too wet. And with all the watering that we have to do during the day to keep the pool, they could have a tendency to get too wet. And when the wet soils are out there with 97 degrees and 85 degrees at night, the soil temperatures never get a chance to cool off. It's almost like an insulator for the heat, and you kill the root system. And once you kill the root system, and you still have August in front of you, it's not a very pretty scenario. So in order to keep the greens as dry as possible, the collars are kind of I don't want to say a sacrifice, but because they're a taller, maintained turf, they need more water. So you'll see when I go out and hand water, I'll do the collar a little bit more than the greens, but we still weren't able to get as much water on the collars that we needed. So they're a little bit more beat up than the greens would be. But other than that, I think we came through it good. We have we aerified the 3rd green, and that's really to try to get the new drain lines that were installed to meld a little bit better. They've kind of showed up because it was a sod. You know, we took the sod off of the green in those drain line areas. So what that does is it's almost like a clay pot. When you pull that off, it seals that soil in that area, and you need to aerify it several times. I would say 5 to 7 times before it really melds to the green itself again, before it becomes a part of that green. So we're working on that process. We aerified the 3rd green on Monday because the weather was conducive to do that. We deep sliced the rest of the greens, really to help with the compaction that we've been receiving, to help with the drainage of all the extra rain that we've had this summer, and to also get oxygen to the root system to really help the recovery. Our next Aerification Day is August 5th, and we're going to probably incorporate a deep verticut at the same time to try to get to our 20% disruption goal that we need to achieve every year in order to keep up with the organic matter that is produced by the grass and the compaction as well. And those will both be followed by sand top dressing and soil amendments, and that'll get us ready for the fall season ahead. We're almost ready to start the mounding and ornamental grass plantings along Post Road, which I don't know if you go that way coming out of the pool. We got a couple of them shaped. We're going to shape the rest of them out and then rake them out and do the ornamental grass plantings. And those grass plantings will come from the 14th tee area because those are large now. They need to be split or they'll start to die from the inside out because of lack of drainage on the inside. You'll see them, they get about this big, and we'll probably get 15, 20 plants out of each one. If any of you want grass plants, we're going to have plenty of those around to go around. So if anybody would want ornamental grasses, just let me know. We could always give you 2 or 3 out of that, no problem.
Now, where are you going to install those ships?
Along Post Road. So you have, the look we have coming in the main entrance,
Right.
with the ornamental grasses. That'll continue right along Post Road and tie right into number 11.
So going, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Those things
so-
look like thistle bushes?
Yeah.
Well, that's what.
Yeah, like sea oats.
I got it.
Oh, I want some.
I have a problem right in my house, I need something just like that.
Perfect. The new T signs, we installed them today, and that was a great collaborative effort. Mike's guys built the posts, painted the posts. We dug the holes and installed the signs today. We're just lacking 3 posts for the 2nd, 15th, and 17th tees that we had to modify the bottom of the post due to rock underneath. We couldn't get the post in as deep as we'd like to. But they really came out nice. I know we've heard a few comments that we didn't have the handicap index on those signs, but we wanted to keep those signs as simple as possible. And the reason is there's different handicap indexes for men's and women's tees. We really need to look at the indexes because I think the 5th hole should be the number 1 handicap hole on the front 9, not 7. But that's for another discussion. We just wanted to keep it very simple.
Wholeheartedly.
Financially, I think we're right on track. There's only a few purchases remaining to really finish out the rest of the year, which really is anything that I need to spray, fertilize, anything like that is already purchased and in the shop or has already been purchase ordered and will be ordered when the right time comes about. Now, I have enclosed in here a man-hour study, I guess you would say, on all the different maintenance programs and mowing schedules that we do on the golf course. And it really shows you how tight of manpower we really are. And, it's amazing how we get some of these other activities accomplished with what we've got to do it with. And with budget season going on, this is a good time to look at this and see if 11 seasonals is enough or maybe we need to go with more. So that's just something to look at in your leisure time and see if we need to make any modifications as far as that goes.
Any questions?
As far as the 8 and 9 work again, are we waiting for some final approval from?
Yeah, we're waiting for the DEC approval. That was all submitted, and that should be coming back anytime. Have you heard anything, Scott? I haven't.
Nothing directly, but they had the full package. They had made comments. We did resubmission with all their comments addressed. As far as I know, there shouldn't be anything more than just issuing a permit.
Yeah, Rebecca Chris was going to do a fast track on that, so I would think by your next meeting we'll say, yeah, we're ready to go.
We go to Mike Rapazart for a golf update.
Recently, we hosted the men's and ladies member guest tournaments. Men had 95 players and survived an intermittent monsoon on July 1, and the ladies had 60 plus and thrived in a 98-degree afternoon. We got tremendous feedback from the players, and I want to note right here that the success of both of the events was due to great cooperation between the golf staff, the green superintendent and his staff, and the castle staff. And everybody did their part real well, and that's what made them such a success. And those of you who have played in them have kind of come back and said so. We're going to talk, I assume it's on the agenda, about the junior golf. I'll save it till last. We told you we were going to install those laser link reflectors on all the flag sticks. They're there. If you look at the top of the flags, there's those little things with the little prisms coming through them. So if you have one of those laser sighters, it will work. We converted the 4C card into the utility card, as we told you we would do, and it's being used now. It's helping things out. It's a little less stress on everybody who needs a utility card. Chip already told you about the new T signs. Everybody really chipped in on that. And what we're going to do once we get them done is start looking at other areas that we're going to need them. The closed for the day type signs should match. How to get to the 4th T from the 3rd green sign, it'll match. So once we get finished with the basic part of the project, we're going to work on that. And it should be pretty cool. And those of you who have seen them, Chip and I are talking about, they look like they've already been there. They look like they've been there forever, and that's the best we could have hoped for with that project. So we're all pretty excited about it.
Mark did a great job on it.
Mark really did. Yeah, Mark helped us out with the design and everything. He really came through on that.
Mark right now is working on a yardage book, and if you recall, we had one that the club purchased actually once upon a time, passed it out to all the members, and then the rest of them we tried to sell in the shop, and we sold out of them. But this one's really cool. We did it with spiral and stuff, and I have the mock-up, but we got to talk price. We got to see what it's going to come in at, and then see if I'm just going to sell them or the club wants to buy them, but we'll be talking about that later on in the summer. So Mark's been great with us. One of the signs that we've talked about is the one in the entrance, and he could probably bring in something really cool for a great price, so it's something we probably want to, a relationship we want to foster. And I mentioned in the last meeting, Mark also did our scorecards, and I called him for them on a Monday, and he delivered them on a Friday, which was fantastic. And he actually delivered them himself, saved us a little shipping money.
I just want to put a footnote in there. I mean, he's a member that's really thrown himself into the game.
Right.
He was out there today taking pictures of those signs. He's as proud of those signs, and
It's what he does, and he's enthusiastic about it, and he's fun to work with. So.
Well, even the artist book, that was his initiative.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to do it.
Yeah, he saw the old one, and he said, I can do better than this, and he's working on it, so it's good. And finally, Men's and Ladies Club Championships have been completed as of Sunday. The men's champion is Peter Biscelli, and the ladies champion is Peggy Flanagan. And both events went pretty much without a hitch, and it was a good deal. So that's pretty much my report. I don't know if the time is right on the agenda to bring up the junior golf proposed amendment. I know the emails have been flying back and forth. I've been copied on most of them.
I'll tell you what.
Want to say that to the business?
I think we'll go right into that now because, we're waiting for our team for the pool. So, we'll keep the discussion open for junior membership here.
Okay, we made a proposal at the last meeting about doing it for kids who have played on their high school golf teams and could prove it, that they would be able to play on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10 a.m. as opposed to 2 a.m., which is the current rule. And the other part of it was the 6-year-olds and over could get on the golf course at 4 o'clock as opposed to 5, which is the current rule now. We were sent back by the commission with the idea that they weren't really comfortable with the whole idea of being exclusive just to kids who played on the golf team. So what we rewrote, and I know you've all seen it, I'm sure you all have it, was basically, let's do a trial basis. Any certified junior can't make time in advance, like you can't put a slip in the box, but you can, walk on at 10 a.m. And if there's time available, we'll let those kids take the time. We've already come up with a mechanism for tracking it. So we'll be able to see exactly how much of a bump in play we're getting by that segment of the membership. And if we started soon, think on it, I wrote the 23rd, which was last week. That doesn't really work yet, but we can start it whenever you all say. And we will come up with the data and basically see what it is doing to play. Because the only way to really find out is to open it up and let's see. We currently only have about 30 certified juniors. So if they all came every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and clogged the tee at 10 a.m., yes, I think we'd have an issue. But I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see at most half a dozen on any given one of those 3 days. But we worked out a way to track it. I'll be able to bring you the numbers. We figured we go now till Labor Day, which is kind of when school starts again. And we want to give it a try. Some of you have already voiced your approval by email that I've gotten. Some of you I know have reservations. We're certainly open to discuss it further, and that's pretty much where we're at with it.
So you think logistically this can be done? This is easy thing to implement?
As far as tracking it, it's going to be easy to do. Like I said, we already sort of come up with a mechanism that we know is going to work within the system, and we'll have our data for you. And
You're gonna email us that data every week?
if that's what you want, then that's what you get. Sure, absolutely. And there's a lot of member positive feeling about it, from what I can tell. My personal feeling is it's not going to amount to a ton of play. I mean, I hope it does. I think that if we had that problem of all those kids crowding that tee box at 10 o'clock in the morning, we could come up with a way to solve that problem, but it'd be a heck of a good problem to have. So we think it'll work. I know you've all gotten a lot of email from Peter Marshall because he keeps copying me on them. He was the member who originally proposed the idea and is pretty much the member who's asking, but I'm sort of speaking on his behalf because he's got crazy time commitments on Wednesdays, so he's not really here to do it himself. Anything else?
It's walk-ons, right? If they walk, they can walk on it if there's a time available.
Exactly right. You know,
That's the only places that would
right.
They cannot reserve, they can't reserve a tee time, but if it's open, they have the right to go out there.
I would recommend we do it. I'd like to put it to vote tonight, get it done and get it off the way. I mean, the golf season is starting to come to an end, or we're in the middle of the golf season, so we can put it to the vote.
Could you explain the 6-year-old at 4 o'clock a little bit?
Well, the way it stands now, if a 6-year-old accompanied by a parent can use the golf course at 5 o'clock in the evening. Some of the parents think it's a little too late, work, et cetera, and so on. If they can sneak out early, you get the kids out here, they want to do it. And the way we have it now, and I don't know how many in this room have kids of that age and have experienced it, we tell them right off the bat, if you're bringing your 6 or 7-year-old out, and we don't expect them to play brilliant golf, so if a regular member comes by trying to get a little evening round, we ask them to step aside. Like, expect to step aside when a regular game comes through. And they've all been really good about it. We have very few problems in that area. Because, the guy that's bringing his 6-year-old out, he wants to play 1-2 holes. He's not looking to go play 18 and start a log jam. So we talk to them when they tee off, and everybody's pretty much with the program. All they're asking for is a 1 hour earlier. The tee is quiet at 4 o'clock, demonstrably so.
That would be my question. So I think I'm supportive of this, assuming that you believe, I think 2 things are important, and I'll come to the other proposal in a second, but it's essentially, from my perspective, the same issue. I want to try to encourage fast play, and I want to try to have as much space between people as we can. And I think there are delays. One of the issues here in terms of, I know we play faster than we used to. I'm sure many people wish we could play much faster, which is why everybody puts in for the 6:15 and the 7:15 time, right?
Yes, sir.
The reality is that is an issue here that I think people wish we could do a better job on. With respect to the earlier tee time, moving from 5 to 4, I think as long as you believe that it is a relatively slow time and people that are playing can play through, and I haven't done it for a long time, but my experience is the same as you indicated. People are sensitive to it because they're with their parents, they're aware that these are golfers that are trying to get out. So I think that part, from my personal perspective, I think is fine. I think we should look at it and again, monitor it, maybe not as seriously, and make sure that we are not seeing complaints from people that may regularly play in the afternoon on weekends.
Well, we actually plan to monitor it just the same way, and that would be from 4 to 5, because 5 o'clock it's already in place. So from 4 to 5, we'll see what kind of pickup we get. From 10 to 2, we'll see what kind of pickup we get, and we'll have the numbers. And if you want them on a weekly basis, that's no problem whatsoever.
So just on the issue of moving people back from 2 to 10, I have some reluctance to do that, and I suspect I might be in the minority up here. My concern is, again, I ran some numbers. I know Peter prepared numbers based on individual slots, assuming there's 4 slots per tee time. I did the same analysis, looking at open times versus like a single slot with 3 people signing up. And then the implications of having an 11-year-old go out with a bunch of older people, right? Theoretically, it's fine. The members may be doing that threesome, maybe sort of less desirous of that. And when I did the numbers there, it actually was pretty tight. If you go back and look at the tee sheets that I sent around a few weeks ago, I had only 12 time slots between 9:59 and 11:30 when I looked at it, and a couple places they were tighter. Maybe 2 days they were more than 4. So I don't think it's as wide open, personal view, in terms of if you look at it from that perspective. I guess I'm willing to try it. 10 seems frankly a little early to me, because I mean, we haven't even gotten to the point where you're getting your guests in yet. And if you fill up the slots, let's say they're all out there at 10, you have a couple of places, that's 2 open places that are not available to sort of spread the crowd out. So I want to make sure that if we're going to do this, we are really sensitive to what it's doing to overall time of play, and whether or not people that used to get out at 10 and think it's wide open, can zip through in 4 hours or something like that, are now going to see 4:15, 4:30, because you've filled the course number. So that is my own concern about this. Again, if it's the consensus of the people up here that we should try it and we monitor it, I think that's fine. But I want to be on the record that my concern is one of, I think there's still an issue with not playing fast enough, obviously bringing people in that are probably not as strong players, not necessarily the case, of course, but not as strong players. I think it's going to have some degradation in terms of speed of play.
I'll also say, and I'm really not as worried about the Saturday and Sunday. Friday used to be a terribly busy day up here.
It's still, I mean,
It's still is.
Friday's a busy
And
day.
holidays.
Friday's a busy day.
Probably the busiest day.
This is including holidays.
And, I would have a reservation against Fridays. I understand the idea that if there's an open slot, you throw it, but I also have a problem throwing a young boy sometimes into a foursome.
Or girl.
A threesome.
Or girl.
Or a young girl into it. I would hope that if this program takes off, that they come out in groups and maybe have a few. And I always also thought of the idea of maybe marking 4 or 5 time slots in that period that they can play in, and limiting it to those 4 or 5 time slots on Saturdays and Sundays, and saying here, 10:17, I don't know, let's just say 10:17, 10:48, or whatever, 4 within and that would give you 16 players that could sign up and play at that time. I think that'd be more controllable, and I think that you would put the junior with juniors. And I think a little bit more comfortable with that idea. As a parent, I think I'd be a
Can
little
I
more
ask
comfortable with that
How many
idea.
certified juniors are there?
I just want to ask you a couple of questions of mine. How many juniors are we talking about from 12 to 17 years
A
old?
possibility of 30
Third.
are currently certified right now,
And do
because they grow
they
out.
and they have to have a handicap, or no? They just have to be
They
certified?
have to
tape-
be certified.
Okay. So in your opinion, since you know most of these 30, what are the skill level of the kids that would try to go out that early?
The ones that would try to go out that early can play.
Okay.
I'm saying that, like I said, I have a better sense that it's not going to be, okay, I'm certified, it's 10 o'clock, I can't break a million, and I'm going to play a 5-hour round, you got to let me out because the rule says so. It's not what we're planning to do here. The kids are going to be told, it's trial basis, your behavior is going to be as important as your pace. We will be watching. We're actually hoping that there would be some mingling of the adults with the kids so the kids can teach the adults. I mean, the adults can teach the kids, this is how you move along.
I played junior golf. It's very intimidating, and an awful lot of juniors won't walk the tee box at 10 o'clock. When they see 3 adults on the tee, they'll shy away. But we need to start as a club, to say to junior members, hey, we've got a free slot of, 10:06. If you can get 2 of your friends together, come and join, come and play. A junior won't walk up on his own and want to play with 3 old folks.
Well, what we're going to do, Chris,
It's
you're right.
not in his game. He's not going to want to do it. He
You
wants to play with
make
his
a great
friends.
point, and all of you who have come to that tee know that one of the things that we do is we don't mix oil and water. And we won't do that with the adults.
Like, I won't put player A with player B when I know player A flies and player B can't fly. I mean, we do that, and we're good at it, and our members actually count on that. So, we're gonna do the same thing, like, we're gonna put our arm around the kid and say, look, you don't wanna go out with that group, believe me, so wait a little while.
The kids don't want to play with any of us out there.
I mean, I know it's a joke, but in all seriousness, I mean, that's what managing a T is. You know, you gotta manage the personalities, and
Put them with us.
I'm still not clear why we're looking at this. These kids get to play every day. My concern is that we have 1,100 members, something like that. We have hundreds of golfers. They're not here. I want them to be represented. I've talked informally with people, and it's been kind of a cool reception. Most of them say, I wish I knew more about like clinics and teaching the kids and things like that. They're all for junior golf, promoting the golf. I'm a big promoter. You know, I've had a successful son.
Sure.
He learned here. He's a great golfer. So, I mean, it can happen. But I still come back to the fact that most of us are weekend hackers, at least myself, and I'm very sensitive that they're not represented, and I don't want them coming in here in August, September, October, screaming bloody murder because their precious time slots are being taken up by these kids to get to play every day. So the kids, I mean, you know, let's face it, they're playing more than anybody else, so why do they need to then compete for those same precious time slots when they get to play that day anyway? All we're talking about is moving them up.
Here's the thing, Charlie.
But that's to me, those are the key slots, you know, in the week.
Those slots,
Saturday and Sunday,
those slots
Friday and
are yours.
Holidays.
Those
So-
slots are yours to get from Wednesday when you put your slip in the box, from Saturday when you put your slip in the box, all the way to the next Wednesday, and after, when you look and see what's been
I know, but
taken,
there's still
and see
people
what
that
else
come
is
out-
free, all you gotta do is pick up the phone and
There's
you'll
still
get it.
people that walk on at 10 o'clock, at 11 o'clock, and just want to play. And so, and those are still.
And what I'm saying is, I think there's room for them.
Okay. There
But
might
if,
be
like
room-
you say-
even if there is room for them, I'm still not sure what we're accomplishing by pushing them into those time slots, because they get to play anyway.
Well,
And this is very unusual for clubs. I mean, I don't know how many clubs do this, but I would say the vast majority are 2 o'clock. So I'm still not seeing what we're doing here.
it's something to try that we haven't done before. It separates us
I
from
know,
all
but
those other
tell
clubs
me
in a
what-
positive way.
But what's the uplift?
I think the underlying issue is that there are some really solid junior players who
I'm
want
not
to play.
questioning their, okay, all right, but I mean,
But it also creates more of a family golf. If you've got a junior player, you can
okay,
go
so
out.
then
and-
it's, so then it's they want to play with their dad or
Maybe their
something like
dad,
that. You know,
right.
maybe they want to go out at 2.
Right.
Charlie, if we had done this when John was in his heyday and he had to wait till 2, would you have taken advantage? I mean, John would have definitely
I
played.
probably would have.
So there it is, and no more time for
But
you to
again,
spend
I'm
with this.
still just sensitive of the other people. And I even went back to Peter Marshall. I said, you know, I think we should put it out to the members and see what they think. I'd feel a lot more comfortable, quite frankly. If we said to the members, you decide, and if everybody's cool with it, then I'm fine with it. But I just feel like we're not getting a broad enough opinion here. We've got 2 fathers that want their kids to go out early that are pushing this.
Can we compromise and come to 11 instead of 10? Because that 10 to 11 is still a prime spot for members who come in with guests or, you know, people who want to walk on.
Well, can we, I mean, is there any members that would like to give their input on this whole
Yeah, I would.
situation?
Chris,
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Jack and I have been out there when we have a father and a son and they go to step back. And, you know, usually we'll say, no, he gets his good game with his buddies. I'm the hacker. I think part of what we do here that makes us different is that it is a family club. Now, so whether it's 10 or 11, we need to bring a member as well. I think opening it up more to juniors does create more of a family club, and I think we'll get more golf members because they can make it a family game. I mean, yes, you can join Westchester, but for heaven's sakes, my husband and I couldn't play on the same day. We couldn't play on Saturday morning if we wanted to. Or if you played on Saturday morning, you couldn't play in the afternoon. That's why we belong here, because we have a course that's accessible besides being beautiful. And I think that it is worth the trial period, and if it doesn't work, we will know it. But I think without trying it and seeing what the junior response is, because I think Chris is right, you're not gonna have a single that wants to play with 3 old fogies. We'd probably slow them down, but I do think it's worth the trial period.
The thing about the trial period is, if it's oversubscribed, and that's a concern, say, look, it doesn't fit. You know, we have regular members who want those times. It doesn't fit. Sorry, we tried. You know, and I'll tell you another thing. If you try it and you get 1 kid a weekend, you can scrap it then too, because hey, look what we offered you guys, and you didn't take advantage of it. So, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's a true trial.
Mike, you don't see a problem with Friday?
I don't see any more problem with Friday than I do Saturday, Sunday. I gotta tell you, a full tee sheet runs a heck of a lot smoother than the drips and drabs tee sheet. You know? And to address the whole slow play thing, I mean, I can play with Chip in 3 hours behind a foursome, and it's gonna feel like a death march. I'm telling you. But on the other hand, I can play 4 hours in a foursome, behind a foursome, behind a foursome, and it feels just right. Pace of play is very, very much perception. There's a great article in the Wall Street Journal about it just last week. And really, I can't tell you how many times I'm standing on that teacher tee where you all see me and a guy will come off. Oh man, it was slow as heck out there. What time is it? It's 12 o'clock. I said, well, you went off at 8:15, you played 3:45. Oh, well, it felt slow. And I get it all the time, and I understand it completely. So pace is perception, and nothing is going to change that. We run a very fast time here, particularly on the weekend morning. Where we bog down is middle of the afternoon on Sunday. As when I actually advise people, maybe you just want to go chip and putt.
I played the 3 balls today. I would love to have made it a 4th. I don't care if it was 10 or 12. You know what? It would have been a pleasure to play with the junior golf.
There you go. Because the kids will take advantage, going to be played.
I think, Chris, Patty got it, which is right on, she's spot on. When you think about this theoretically, you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. You either support junior golf, or you don't. You restrict tee times and don't let women play on Saturday and Sunday mornings, or you don't. It's just conceptual. You're in, you're out. And if you support junior golf, which is sort of who we are and what we do in this community, we're a breeding ground, we're a growing ground, we're a farm team for a lot of people who come here and grow and learn the game. I've been stuck behind left-handed blind quadriplegics on Saturday afternoon. 5 hours.
Stop talking about me like that.
But you're either in or you're out, and there's no right answer. And you got to trust the guys whose job it is to make it work. I remember, you guys have all been here. Remember when we used to start on 10 and 1? And I remember when we decided we were all going to start on 1. I went batshit. I thought it was the stupidest idea Blake ever came up with.
Thank you.
But somehow he made it work. You know, he made it work. You're either in or you're out. You support junior golf, you know. So.
Yeah, the growth of golf is really good with junior people. You need to make it as accessible as possible in order to keep the revenue coming in. So I'd make it open. I actually like Angela's idea. I was thinking the same thing, maybe 11 o'clock, because 10 o'clock for members with guests. Since my husband and I often bring, especially my husband brings guests, having to wait till 10 would be nice to at least have those slots.
Anybody else want to say anything? Yeah.
I agree with everybody, and just a little curious about, since we want to be in the minor leagues, I agree. More emphasis on training and programs and stuff like that, because I know when things start to go bad, sometimes you're better off going to the range than going and playing around. So more emphasis on training, what kind of programs we can put out there to help create that buzz and to get more juniors involved before they get onto that first tee, to help teach them the game from the ground up if need be. Do we have stuff in place now?
Well, since I've been here, when I got here, I inherited 1 4-session junior clinic. We tripled it. We now do spring, summer, fall, ladies also. We also instituted junior camps, which are pretty intensive. Steve, my assistant, does them. He does 5 of them a summer. Kid goes 4 days a week from 9 to noon every day. It's intensive. They play on the course, they do rules of golf. I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive program. Those are the ones that have shown interest. They go to the junior clinics and, oh, this is really cool. So then they go and take a camp. These camps are oversubscribed. If there was 2 of them, I could do more, right? It just has to do with the fact that we don't have a whole lot of golf course to offer, and we only got 1 guy to do it. And we're doing our part. We have a junior interclub team that we tout, all year round. get this kid to play. Come on, we need him. We have trouble filling the 5 spots for every club that we need to send the kids to on a weekly basis. I mean, you know, they have a lot more options than they used to have for what they can do with their summertime. And if we can get 1 kid or 5 kids away from the television set and onto the golf course, I mean, everybody wins. I mean, everybody wins. I think you're going to find it's not going to be the tremendous impact of a volume that you anticipate. And if I'm wrong, and I actually hope I am, we can scrub it or we can modify it, we can change it. I will give you good data and you can make a good ruling about it.
This is your motion.
Yeah, I would like to put this to a vote, or sorry, I apologize, Bob.
That's okay. I feel that the time, whatever the guest time is, should be the same time as the juniors should start. They should be concurrent with one another. Whatever that time is, 10:30, 10, whatever. So if you're gonna change that, I think you should change the guest times too.
Yeah, if you recall, we backed guest time from 11:30 to 10:30, and we thought it was going to really truncate things, could cause a whole big problem. We said, nobody's playing in that slot. And the same amount of guests come, you're going to get your 4 foursomes every Saturday, Sunday. Friday, guests can come whenever they want, and they do come throughout the day. It's probably our biggest guest day. I mean, we did a similar thing with a different part of it, which was guests, not juniors, and there wasn't a ripple, you know? I mean, things ran pretty well, you know.
I'd like to put to a vote that we allow junior members to pack it up at 10 o'clock. And,
What's the trial period?
I'm going to say for the rest of the season, I'm presuming. I mean, we're going to have to give it till the end of the year.
We'd like to get it out there. If you don't mind, we start Tuesday.
Right.
All right, that'll give us the rest of this week and get some emails out there, talk to the juniors themselves, let them know what we expect of them. We start Tuesday, we go right through Labor Day Monday, and after that, you know, the next meeting you have, we'll tell them, okay, the trial period's over, wait and see, and we'll let you know what's been decided.
So one modification, again, maybe
5 weeks.
subsets.
5 weeks.
I actually think the idea of having it start at 10:30 is not a bad one. So it's consistent with the guest time. So I would suggest that if we're going to do this, maybe just some vote and the big vote.
So the motion would be to,
Pat said, push it back up to 10:30.
right, so if I read what's been proposed, we can say, so if I put the motion on the table, that it would be starting July 30th, which is Tuesday, right? Through Labor Day at 10 o'clock for all certified juniors ages 12 to 17 to access the course, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 10:30, right?
You said 10 o'clock.
Sorry, 10:30. That's the guest starting time, right? 10:30?
Correct.
So that's part A, and then part B would be all juniors ages 6 to 11 to access the course at 4 o'clock rather than 5, under the strict supervision by the pro shop and the starter, and providing the commission with weekly updates should it impact the membership and pace of play.
I would second that.
All in favor? Passes.
Thank you, Joe. Ladies.
Next topic.
Emails, by the way, awesome.
I get emails all the time now from where I go. Just reminds me, I almost came for dinner and I couldn't make it. I usually wouldn't, no, literally. I wouldn't, it doesn't enter my mind.
You got to try the Friday nights here with the music. It's great.
I can't even make it. Well,
All right, we'll move on to a food and beverage update from Jim Lipatino.
Well, you already mentioned Friday night music. We have Yaya's coming this Friday. Every Friday now we have, so far, we have music. Hopefully this Friday we'll have it on the terrace. We won't have rain or hot weather interrupting that. These are singer-songwriter groups that are coming every Friday to entertain guests who come to have dinner. There's no cover charge or anything to come right now. We may get into that if we get into higher cost bands, but right now it's included. Everyone who's come seems to like the music, gets entertained. They've been staying until the end. Brian here has visited us twice on 2 occasions for them, and I think he was even dancing at the last one.
Well,
This Thursday, we have our clam bake night, and next Thursday, we have prime rib night. So we're going to try to look at continuing those kind of events. I prepared a 6-month report that I sent to the commission today. If you like, I can, talk about any questions you might have on that report. What I tried to do was put together a report that segregates the 4 food and beverage areas of the club and allocate expenses that were just specific to the food and beverage operation. And then there's a second page that kind of gives you an allocation of other cost centers or cost items in the club that could be applied to the food and beverage operation in various formats and various percentages, but I picked a percentage of 25%. Anyone who'd like a copy, I have it up here if you'd like, anyone would like to look at what I'm talking about. Well, what I tried to do is give an idea of where we are after 6 months operating the club. So I separated banquet, restaurant, snack bar, and tournament, where tournament really is not a profit and loss center. It's really a break-even area. So that component is for all intents and purposes, going to be showing a 0 profit margin.
Jim, on the tournament, how many tournaments are there? It seems like there's hardly any activity on the process, like way down to last year, or do you have any?
Well, we haven't done any I think we've only done one outside tournament.
You just brought me like inside.
Well, this is all tournament so far, as of the end of June.
Seems like a low number.
10,500?
Yeah.
It is. That's all we've done in revenue for tournaments.
We only have 1 tournament.
No.
Outside tournaments. No, this is.
Now, that golf tournament being what?
I think we've only done one outside tournament.
Now, when you say golf tournament, that's an internal golf tournament or a golf tournament?
That's a member tournament or an outside tournament. It's a member event or.
We're talking about the outside tournaments where people outside, the company wants to come out and do their tournament here, which is a fantastic golf club. Like,
that's only-
But this is all in the food portion.
This is total revenue for any tournament we've had so far, as of
Just food portion or the whole thing?
food and beverage.
No, just food and beverage.
Food and beverage, not the use of the golf course.
Yeah, this is not
Right.
the revenue that is, this is only food and beverage.
Right.
There's no golf revenue on this report. There's no.
That's right. So
there's
the
no
golf
pool-
is actually split out this year.
Right, there's no pool revenue, there's no golf revenue on this report. This is solely food and beverage.
Okay. All right.
So Jim, my question to you was, trying to get a year-to-date comparison to 2012 is,
Well, the food and beverage wasn't broken out by, so I can give you, I can put totals together. So I can give you a total food and beverage and a total revenue, and I can give you a total food and beverage expense. But then all these other categories that I have broken out, like linens and marketing and repair and maintenance, they're all bunched together. There's no way of, unless you actually go through every single invoice, you can't really break that stuff out. So there's no way to compare it the way I've made
well,
this report.
yeah, I mean, I guess the overall total number would be worthwhile, yeah.
Yeah, I can put together a comparison based on totals. Would you be able to doing that on a total basis? Would you be able to break out the, what I call the overhead numbers down below? I know. Is that going to be embedded in, the only way you can see it, apples to apples, oranges to oranges, would be to do it the way you've done it. And for 2012, are things like the auditing services, all these items you've laid out down here, are they going to be embedded up here, or you're not going to be able to tell? Some of the other than food and beverage expense items, like water, like gas, those items can be matched from 2012 to 2013. Items like repair and maintenance, from what I've seen, something might have been repaired at the pool and put into a category that you can't really tell if it was at the pool or at the clubhouse.
Salaries were very difficult to break out because you don't know where any of that was. So a lot of the individual items, categories, geocoding was so scattered. Everyone knows that one category with the entertainment category that was probably had 7 different things that had nothing to do with entertainment. So unless you go into the individual, unless you pick a category, a geocode, and go into it and look at the actual invoices that were applied to that, that would be the only way you can break that out. And you have to do that with every individual geocode to see what you could break out and compare to this year. Because this year, repair, maintenance, and repair, maintenance, if I fix a refrigerator at the castle, it's repair, maintenance, and restaurant. It's repair and maintenance in banquet. If I fix a refrigerator at the snack bar, it's under repair and maintenance at the snack bar. If they fix something at the pool, it's repair and maintenance at the pool. Same thing on the golf course. So this year, it's all separated. Last year, unless you go into the individual cost centers and look at them very carefully, and it's very time consuming, that's the only way you can do apples to apples. Yeah.
What period of time is that for? What period of time are these accounts jacked, where you can't use them for any meaningful data extraction? How many years?
I've only looked at 2012. I don't know what happened prior to 2012.
So what you have to do, I'm just speaking for experience, I'm shut up. What you have to do is you either need to decide to fix it, and it can be fixed, and it's not difficult. Either fix it, you do it one time, and then you have those figures forever. Or not, and then just don't do any comparisons. You gotta make a decision. You wanna fix it, I can help you.
I do think
I'd like a salesman.
Well, it's terrible. You've got to do, you can't run a business, what this is, without figures. You can't. And it sounds like you're doing terrific, so how great would it be to see how terrific you're doing?
Well, we at least have a starting point going forward, now that they've gotten the account codes sorted out. Can we spend the money to have somebody go back through and audit all of those expenses for the last couple of years?
Well, you don't need to audit it. You just need somebody who knows what they're doing to create a pivot table, which is a separate table of what you've got. You make that table match your codes that you have now. It needs somebody's gonna have to do the work. I don't know that you have to spend a lot of money on this. Get people to maybe volunteer a little bit.
Yeah.
Get those right, but then you'll have them forever. You only have to do it once.
It certainly can be done. It's just
I think I agree with Rick, having data is the core and heart and soul of all of this, but having served on 3 club boards, forget the allocations, because one could argue allocations until the frogs freeze in the field. But is somebody actually sitting here and telling me we're making money on food and bev? Because if we are, I just cleaned up my language. If we are, we should bronze him. We should bronze him. Golf courses do not make money on food and bev. It does not happen. And whoever has figured out how to do this ought to have a statue erected in his honor at the front gate of this club, whoever you are, and all who support you. Because this is a huge turnaround for this place. We start delivering on these numbers, as Rick says, you gotta get the numbers. We start delivering on these numbers, our life gets a whole lot easier in terms of what we can do here.
Not only that, it's bad for you because you're going to start yourself from a position of just massive strength. It's like running a business where you've been around for 10 years. It's very hard in that 11th, 12th year than it was when you were on your first year. That's the easy one. But if you can show this tremendous set of, I don't know, to me, I would want that data.
Well, I mean,
especially if I were you, I'd want that data.
if you look at the way I've written it, it looks like we're making money. Okay, right at this point, we're making $16,000. However, it's the second page that everyone has to decide, okay, what else are we going to allocate against the castle? There are a lot of other expenses on the property. Now, the castle on this program does not get any revenue from dues, okay? So if we're not getting any revenue from dues, how much of the other expenses on the property do you apply to the castle? Now, some of them may be legitimate, and some of them may not be legitimate. Some expenses may, all 100%, be applied to the property rather than to the castle. I mean, I did a 25% allocation on all the other expenses that are not specifically golf or pool. All right, so I took all that $606,000 of expenses that are on our munis report, and I applied them to this report. And then I took 25% of those expenses and applied them to this report, which shows that we have a loss of $135,000 when you apply those other expenses that may or may not apply to the castle when you go and look. I mean, anyone can look at this and say, you know what, we should apply 10%, we should apply 50%.
Some of those expenses are probably yearly, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so they're not true year to date, they're.
Now, the other thing you have to consider is,
50%.
there's a few things. There's approximately $80,000 in 2012 revenue that we're now charging for from the membership that didn't use their food minimum, which isn't in here.
How much?
80,000.
Well, we collected 55, so
Right.
I'm gonna ask you about that, so that's not in here.
That's not in.
All right.
What is also in here,
Do we think, excuse me, let's finish that. Scott, do you think we're gonna collect more, or are we done?
We're invoicing the balance, because now the people that have not paid do not have an active credit card, so now you're gonna have to send an invoice with their balance.
So we're pretty much.
So your guess is as good as mine with the collections.
even if
So
even
that'll
if
go,
it's...
that 55 is gonna go to food and beverage?
That's correct. Well, it's going to go into a separate general
We created a
ledger.
separate account so that you can see where it was. Because otherwise, I think it's going to.
So we'll allocate that
inflate your
later,
number.
that'll be allocated to the 2013
Correct.
budget later.
We'll show the revenue, but I just want to show the separate allocation.
I'm sorry?
Doesn't that have to go back to 2012? That has to go back to 2012. You didn't realize that.
These are just pure revenue numbers, not accrual counting.
Because the only reason why it's revenue is because we waited so long.
No, we're not, again, to Scott's point, we're gonna treat it separately. What this shows you is if you're just looking at pure operations, there might be some timing differences here, right? Whether something the bill came in before, or after June 30th. But it's helpful in terms of a snapshot of.
Well, actually, my point was, we haven't received our 2013 minimum yet, so that is something that's going to build upon what we have here. A lot of people haven't even started to use their 2013 minimum. So I wasn't particularly trying to say that, we should apply the 2012 minimum to this number, but you should consider the fact that there is a minimum this year also that's going to be applied to this year.
Which we haven't realized.
Which we haven't realized
All right,
yet.
let's-
Yeah.
all right, Jim, so then.
And it's only 3 months.
Right.
It's
Now,
only 3 months.
226 for the restaurant and 91,000 for the snack bar. I don't recall the snack bar being almost 50% of the restaurant in the past. So are you comfortable with those numbers, and do you have any thoughts as to why that is?
Actually, year-to-date, as of yesterday,
That's fine.
we are $21,000 in revenue ahead of last year in the snack bar.
21,000.
21,000.
And where are we compared, and what's the comparable to the council, you know? We were up at the snack bar, you know, if we're up or down or sideways on the?
I don't have those figures.
We were off 60, right? I think we lost 60,000 by not being open until March 21st, and we looked at our.
Yeah, we were off something like 60
So
after
you're
5
already,
months.
right, you're already 60 behind when we started, so.
Is the snack bar numbers include tiki bar?
Yes.
That's why.
Okay, so that, I mean, that's not what that
The
means.
tiki bar's actually being slow.
So the snack bar is improving,
Snack bar's improving.
and the castle is, we don't know.
Well, I know where our revenue dollars are down from last year. That was the 5-month report that I provided to you last year.
Okay, so costs are down and revenue is down.
Yes.
That was the gray area that's part
Also, what has to be considered is, to date, we've applied over $19,000 in 10% discounts to food and beverage that members have spent here. So that's a significant number that I think everyone needs to know. So that number could easily reach, $40,000 to $50,000 in discount allowances that we provide.
But, I mean, not for nothing, but the pricing of food, I mean, there's got to be a balance with that 10%. I mean, that's the cost of doing business today, is that's a benefit we give to the members. And the cost of food is a little higher than last year, so it has to balance out somehow, doesn't it?
Well, I'll leave it this way. The top operating profit for most restaurants is 4 to 8%. you're giving away 10%. So you're losing money every time a member comes here. And that's basically the answer to that. So, you know, there are very few restaurants that make over 8% in this country. And if you are, you're doing a healthy banquet business. That's the rule.
So Jim, does the bar tabs with the different dinners for the members, because they're usually...
The more people drink, the more, yeah, I mean, there's a much higher profit on
The
alcohol.
profits there on alcohol
Yes.
is what really, it's the only way you make food and beverage.
That's correct. You have to do a healthy bar business to make money in the restaurant. We don't have a healthy bar business here right now. You know, we're hoping to try to grow that with the Friday night events. As we grow with that, we're trying to, you know, we'll possibly bring in bigger bands, maybe cover charges, you know, try to build more of a healthy bar business here. I mean, that's really what we need, is a healthy bar business. And that's going to solve a lot of issues.
Do you think we could build that if we made greater use of this bar? At one point, we talked about some stand-up tables going on around here.
Well, this past 2 Fridays that we had the music on the terrace, it was in this room. We were ready to go. We had tables all around out there. Hopefully this Friday, we'll have good weather. We hear good weather. Yes, we'll have cocktail tables out on the deck out here. And the music will be out here, so if you want to just come for drinks, you can certainly do that. So we're hoping to grow that.
You're open. I mean, Andy Wagner, he wants to play wants to do a thing on the Rye Harris tonight. He wants to do a concert here or a party here. If I send him into you'll work with him.
If it makes sense, certainly, I'll work with them, absolutely.
I mean, I think,
Saturday,
you know,
Rye Harrison game, Chris, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
After
It's
the
the night of the Rye Harris game.
On the Friday night, or Saturday.
Saturday, right?
So the
Saturday.
Saturday, the bonfire is Friday, so he's coming Saturday after the game.
Yeah. Welcome down there. I mean, you know, I've had a couple of issues with members come to me that we are not receptive in regards to one particular guy played golf and came here to hold a function for his mother. He got prices that were, you know, he wasn't happy with. He's currently doing blue shows tonight for 4 dogs ahead. He emailed me stuff. You got 3 different sheets. One was for 64 after tax and gratuities.
Is a member?
Yeah, one was for 77.31, and after tax and gratuity, another one was $100 with no booze. $300 cover for
How many people?
30 people. $300 cost for the room upstairs. I think it's very important going forward that if a member walks in here, you've got to say, do not bring your business anywhere. We'll make you a burger franchise, but we'll make you the best burger franchise. We need your business. Because it's a shame when a guy is sitting in blue shows tonight took his time out to email me this and print this out to me. And as a commissioner right off the bat, I feel quite embarrassed that we're not competitive with blue show restaurant.
We're a different venue though, Chris, and for the
Well-
upstairs room, the $300 is probably covering the extra bodies, because we've got a kitchen downstairs and servers upstairs, and you need to have people posted to take care of the tables. So I think that's...
I know, I understand that. I understand that. But every member of this place should be fit to walk in, speak to the manager, and he said, yes, we can facilitate you. They said it was a $300 charge for the chairs upstairs. He said, okay, let's forget about that. Come and push 2 tables together in the dining room. No, you're not allowed to do that. Hey, I'm taking my business somewhere else.
Well, you can't fit 30 people in that dining room.
Well, you can fit 30 people upstairs.
Yeah, we can fit 24 upstairs. We can fit 24 upstairs.
No, Jimmy, all I'm saying is we need to be able to turn around to members or anybody who walks in the front door and say, hey, you know what, guess what, we want to
Chris, I do a profit and a loss on every one of those events, and I'm happy to send every one of them to the commission, and if they tell me to do the event after they see what the dollar figure is in the bottom line, if they tell me to do it, I'm happy to do it.
But it's a loss.
What was he willing to spend?
But it's a loss tonight.
It's very difficult to do an event for 30 people for any price around $40. It costs more than that.
No, and I'm sure by the time he's finished with tax and tips, it's more than $40, right? But he's a member here. You know, I hope that I'll be able to walk in here and say to you, Jimmy, listen, I want to be 30 people here, work with me. Now, you know, we want spaghetti, we want a meatball, we want X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, but that's not what you want.
I gotta say, you guys should.
I mean, if someone came in here wanting hamburgers and hot dogs or
You know,
or
you
something
got-
less expensive, I would certainly do a package.
No, you guys should have your own meatball, salad, and a piece of chicken or a meatball for $64, right? With no booze or nothing, coffee and tea. I don't know if they're compatible prices to anywhere else in Rye, but, you know, and then told to charge $300 for upstairs. It seems to me that we're on the same.
I mean, I don't know which one you're talking about, but I mean, you
Yeah,
have
I mean,
to.
that's a small one, I mean, no one for $77, no one. But my point, Jimmy, is he's not here tonight, he's a member. Like, you know, most members should fit to walk in here and say, Jimmy, do me a deal for $50 a head, put it together, let's work it out.
Do you make any assumption on alcohol sales when you quote something like this?
Well, some parties do alcohol sales included, some do a cash bar.
Right.
It just depends upon which way they want to go.
So let's say they want to do a cash bar, then what do you allocate? So 30 people walk in the door and say, we want to eat dinner, and so you quote it, but you're going to make some money on liquor.
Well, I try to make money on any event we do, and then you
I
hope
understand.
that
but I'm
the
just
liquor's
saying,
going to do a little bit better for us.
I wonder if the competitor restaurant then says, okay, we'll charge them this, but we know that typically we'll get an extra $15 per head or 20 or whatever for alcohol.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's no.
I'm not in the restaurant business, I'm just
there's-
asking, so, no, I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's no guarantee that they're going to drink alcohol. You know, there isn't. I mean, you assume that you might make something, but you also have to account for, even if you were to make $200 in revenue, you know, to make that $200 in revenue, you pay the bartender $80, and it might have cost you $25 for the alcohol, so you're not making as much as you think you are. But, you know, you have to consider all the costs to you know, put that together, because if you're doing a party and the bar is a cash bar, that means the party isn't paying for the bartender. It means you're putting the bartender out there and you're hoping that the revenue you bring in is going to pay for the bartender. So you have to, you know, consider that too.
I mean, I have to agree with Chris. I'm not saying we should do any event at a loss, but we should not have members not doing their functions here. It goes against this club. I mean, you want members to come in. This is what we're here for. This is why we keep this castle open. This is why we're not looking to outsource it aggressively as we used to, because the members want it.
Then you tell me.
No, I'm not telling you to do anything at a loss. Jim, you're in the
But that
business.
is-
You could be
that is what
creative.
you're telling me to do, because this gentleman here isn't having his party,
Look,
probably
if
because.
Felicia's could do it for $40, I'm sure you could put a menu together for $40. I'm sure you
And when
could.
we do that, they don't want those menus.
Then be creative. What do you want? Let me tell you, I can't give you filet mignon because I can't do it for $40. But if you have to have steak, what is it
If
you
you
want?
think that I don't try to get every single event here.
It's just sad that we have.
It is. I agree with you 100%. I'm not happy that this gentleman went someplace else. I'm not. You know, and maybe if he came back to me and said, look, here's what I have to deal with, maybe if he said, look, this is the menu I'm getting over here, I could look at that menu and say, you know what, this isn't the menu you asked me to put together, let me reprice it, and if someone does that, I'm certainly happy to do that. We do that. You know, I mean, you know, look at the example of the swim dinner that we're doing next week.
I know.
Okay? Okay, I want to make that as an example. You all know what I did to make that happen. All right? I did exactly what I just said. I did everything possible to make sure that event is here.
But can I I'm organizing this one dinner. We did take some things out of that.
Yes, we did.
And we could have, you know, if we went to a different club, we could have gotten the same thing, if not more, for the same price. So, we as members want to come here, but next year, we're looking at other places because it's an astronomical amount of money. For, you know, I coach the YY swim team too. I would love to do my swim team dinners here, but it's too expensive. You need to give the members the benefit of using their own club. You know, we cut things out of the swim team dinner so we could keep the price the same as last year, right? But we still could have gone to a different club if it wasn't at such a late date and said, hey, their menu was the same, if not more, than what we're getting now. So that's, you know, what.
And I assure you, if I could include dues revenue, I've been asked to do something entirely different here. I've been asked to make this a profit center without dues revenue. Other clubs don't do it that way. Other clubs know that their business, the food and beverage restaurant, of their operation loses money every year. As the gentleman here said, that's the way clubs operate.
Revenue, talk to, I mean,
That's the way,
city.
that's the way clubs operate. I can book all these parties that you're talking about if there was a different allocation of how we do things here.
For members.
I've been asked to do a job here, and I'm trying to do that job. Okay, if you want me to change direction and do something entirely different, I'm happy to do that. You need to tell me what you want me to do.
I fully understand, because I've been planning a lot of menus with you. The prices we paid in the past for food, I don't know how we got away with paying that price. I understand that, and no offense. I mean, I've done ladies member guests for $35. Well, for what you give us, I truly understand that. But we should not be turning members away. And we should work the best we can. I don't want you to work at a loss, but we've got to figure out a better way that we make it more accessible to members to have their functions here. I don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out.
It's more than that, we're not competitive.
No, we're not, we're not.
We're not competitive, that's the problem. It's nothing that the members giving them a 10%.
I'm not talking about that, but we have to, in attracting the members, you have to be competitive, so that goes hand in
Let's just
hand.
say, if we can get competitive, we would probably get our members.
I mean, so we have to look our expenses.
Why do we have a $300 fee to use the chapel, just out of interest? Why want to bring?
It's to put staffing up there and just to set up the room and everything. Because I can't use those staff for down here in the restaurant. So if we have a party up there, I have to have extra staff just to work up there. So it's to set up the rooms, break down the room, it's the 4 hours that they're up there. That's basically what it is. It's to get the bar ready, all that stuff.
Chris?
I mean, it doesn't have to be 300, it can be 200. That's probably, the cost is probably it's probably about $220 to have the staffing for that.
I mean, you know, and Jimmy, I can totally appreciate where you're coming from, but for a member to come to me and take time out to do this, you know, he's not coming back here. He's done. He will never eat here again because he wasn't meant. He didn't feel like a member walked through the doors here. He wasn't treated like a member, okay? And he went to Belushio's. Now we have to have a different mentality going forward in regards. If a member walks in here and says, I want to spend $40. Somebody's got to be able to say, for $40, guess what? I give you French fries and a burger. Okay? If you want to spend $45, I give you French fries and coleslaw. You know, but you can't throw menus for $64, $77, and $100 because people will pick up the phone and go to Belushio's or go anywhere else and say, hey, guess what? $40, I'm done.
You know, Gregory did a menu today for a young lady that called who's a member, and she said she had $20 to spend, and he put an event together for 20 people for $20 today.
Right.
So
Right.
you know, I don't know who this gentleman is. I really don't. I haven't spoken to him. He didn't talk to me. He didn't try to talk to me.
But no, here's the next question. Why wasn't he speaking to you?
I don't know.
I mean, you know, this is another
I mean,
issue. This is another issue.
most of the events go through Sam and Gregory, and they do a very good job of it. And Sam and Gregory come to me, like, for instance, Gregory sent me a menu for $20 today to make sure I was okay with it. You know, so, you know, it does come through my desk.
I mean, you know, I would like to see all of these things, you know, because, you know, I don't want any personality riffs going on here. I mean, I genuinely believe we can put something together for $40 a head. It's quite easy this stuff. We could do it quite easy. So,
Yes, Bob.
Sorry, Bob.
That's okay. I was going to say, the one, I have a little bit of a food background from a long time ago, when I was 6 and spilled stuff all. No. One of the things that nobody's really discussing is the quality of the food that you may or may not be getting at other places. So when you're talking about a dollar amount, like we have 2 different kinds of hamburgers here. We have a hamburger here that's unbelievable and it's $13, whatever it is, $12. And then we have those tray of hamburgers that come out that are nowhere near, but they still, you eat 3 hamburgers, you're full. So, you know, maybe that's an option for you to explore if you haven't.
I don't know what those hamburgers are talking about. We only have
I'm just talking like a buffet hamburger versus like a castle burger.
Because we use the same, use the same meat here, right?
But it's not the same burger. I'm not, I mean, size-wise, the whole, whatever.
Oh, it might be different size for the parties, you mean?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is, if you go to Belushio's and they're having whatever, like a pasta dish, and he's having a pasta dish, and you have to compare the ingredients to the ingredients.
I have one question. You brought up a couple of times that the dues of the members not allocated, no portion of it can be allocated towards the club.
It's
The
not,
restaurant-
well,
The restaurant, I mean. Can you explain that?
Well, he was just saying that in these numbers, he wasn't allocating.
In other words, all
He was just strictly breaking out revenues.
They shouldn't be.
That shouldn't be.
Well-
I don't know who gave you those marching orders, but, you know, the membership dues, this is part of the membership.
I think what it means, TJ, is when you look at the balance, when you look at the income statement here, revenue versus expense, the only revenue items are the four on the top, which come from money that's come in because people are spending things. Whereas you spend, whatever you spend for a comprehensive membership, none of that is allocated to a revenue line for the castle. So it's, and that's a helpful way to look at it. But to your point,
Yeah,
the
but
argument might
that's,
be,
I'm sure, and
you don't.
I don't know enough about club accounting, but I'm sure that that's completely wrong.
well, it's never mattered to us because we're one universe.
It's really not a
But
law,
if
it's
you're
just a way to break it
no, what
out.
Jim would be saying
No,
is,
but
if this is part of the castle,
I understand, but
shouldn't
I
part
think
of my
we're
revenue,
handicapping way too much because that shouldn't be, especially if it's a member. If a member comes in here, I mean, you need to understand, he probably dropped $6,000 on the club for his family, so he needs to be given sort of inside figures for that thing.
but to that point, what we would be saying to Jim then is, it is okay for you in the castle on a standalone basis to lose money because that's what we need to do to give them sort of a deal, understanding that we are charging them annual dues, and a portion of that should be allocated for use here. But I don't think that's the marching instructions that we've given you. Our instructions have been, and the public listening on this is, the castle loses a bunch of money. But when you look at it, as we look at it here, none of your $4,500 a year as a comprehensive resident in any way counts as a revenue item. So it actually forces it to be fully self-sufficient.
It shouldn't.
But
It's allocated to golf because when I go out free every day. If I don't take a cart or whatever, it's free for me. They have to get their revenue from somewhere else. When you go to the pool, you don't pay a nickel. When you come here, whether you're a member or not, you pay a fee for the food that you get. All you have to do is be competitive and you will draw the crowd. It's that simple.
But can't we?
I just don't know if I agree with that. I'm just saying, I just don't know that I agree with that. If this is a unified club and there are three things that a comprehensive member gets, access to the pool, access to the golf course, and access to this.
But you have access to this whether you're a member or not.
But there's a complaint that has been made that we're charging too much. Right? And the argument would be, if at the end of the day, this is correct, and so far for 6 months, we're essentially breaking even without the overhead, $15,000 bucks, let's just assume that. This is broken even for the 4 months it's been over, and the 6 months including the bank revenue. If that's all we're intending to do, that's fine. But if the idea is we want to reduce the prices to members so that we'll use it more often, that's going to increase the loss here. Are we as a commission, are you as members, prepared to see this operate on an operating basis at a loss? If the answer to that is yes.
We have to be.
But if you're losing, if you're losing
volume.
So you might as well have a venue here and get some revenue, as opposed to having full staff.
At the end of the day, we're really only concerned about making sure that the club overall is making money. And that's all. That's it. The Larchmont Yacht Club loses money on every meal they serve. My brother's on the board, brother-in-law's on the board. Every meal, they're giving away money. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's part of the overall entity of
And
membership.
TJ, would you say, because I agree with that actually, but I guess my point would be if at the end of the year, because of how we've operated this year, we've been efficient on expenses, a lot of people come in, let's say that overall the club breaks even, or makes $100,000, but if you back the castle out, you would have made $600,000, right? The message you're going to see in the press is that, no, I'm just saying that if this is a loss, if you lose money on the castle on a standalone basis, right, if you break it out, one of the criticisms would be...
They would have to do it, they have to have a better understanding of how many of these clubs operate around here and how their restaurant facilities are.
I'm just saying...
They are loss leaders.
And I think this is a loss leader, but the way the press, the city...
I'm just saying, I think we've handicapped Jim way too much in terms of him, none of the revenue being able to be applied applying towards the restaurant operation.
And at the end of the day, it's our total revenue less total expenses for the whole entire club. We don't look at it every isolated piece. So it's the whole, our budget's made of the whole entire.
You can't really compare us to a different club anyway.
No, I'm
It's a
sorry.
big, the biggest
I know, but
thousands of dollars
what
a
you're
month.
saying,
It's not
what you're
300 a year.
assuming, what you guys are assuming is that there's a surplus somewhere else.
No, I'm not assuming
Yeah,
any
you are.
surplus.
Yeah.
No, we
No, hold on,
make
let me
money based
finish
on
my sentence,
membership.
please. Let me finish my sentence.
Okay.
You're saying that he's overcharging now.
I never said
So that we should be giving a discount to members,
I didn't say
which
that.
he's saying is then below cost.
I didn't
So
say
that's,
I think
so
you're
where does
right.
that revenue come from? So even, so the marching orders have been, Jim has been just trying to operate his
I can't hear.
area where he's not losing money.
And
So that's what he's just done. Now, we have another issue here, that if we decide that, okay, that's what he's saying. If we decide that, all right, a member walks in here, you're saying you want him to discount it then, so that it's more competitive with, so then now we've just lost money on that function, so.
Well, I think as a
What
club,
do
we
we-
need to sit back and decide what we
Okay,
want.
that's
out
what
of
we
this
have to do,
facility.
but then we've got to understand the entire revenue picture, and so far, we've been losing money for the last 5 years, Angela.
Well,
so
and
where
part of
do
it
we
is
get the
because somebody
money?
was stealing from us, so we
All right,
have no
but I'm
idea.
just saying, we
Right.
haven't, when have we shown a profit? So we've
I
got,
understand.
so this year, we're
But
trying
our
to set a
members-
baseline.
Charlie, our members, we should not be making money on members, I'm sorry. And if it has to be break even, it's a break even, but it shouldn't be at a loss. We should be able to give our members a benefit.
I don't know how much we're making.
All right.
Angela, I guess
By the way,
We
I'll-
made $16,000 in the first 6 months.
And we can even break out how much is membership
So-
and how much is outside, where the money comes
What we're
from. Do we
doing,
care?
I think what
Well,
we're doing
nice to
here,
know.
this is valuable.
It would be nice to know.
This is valuable. And then at the end of the day, we have the breakdown here. We'll have the breakdown on the golf. We'll have the breakdown on the pool. We've already done the analysis showing that really the swim team is subsidized by overall membership dues. It doesn't pay for itself. What we're trying to find, I think, is where are the holes, taking all of the membership revenue aside, where are those places where we are going to allocate dues? If the golf operation is overfunded by golf and comprehensive memberships, it's a balance at the end of the day. I think the cost centers are what we want to see to control costs. But I think the revenue gets allocated to everything except catering. Because this restaurant is part of our clubhouse.
A lot of people,
Frank, please, go ahead.
Chris, we also have to remember that, you know, we put the $135,000 loss, we put the bond and everything, that's going back towards this building as a bond. Most clubs, if they have a capital program, do not allocate one thing to one place. They have a capital, extra line that you have to pay. We don't do that. We have a flat dues that's supposed to cover everything. That's the way we've always operated up here. So unless we do have, you know, we don't have an assessment at the end of the year for certain losses and then an extra fund for capital, like most clubs do. And unless you go into that kind of breakdown, you're always going to have a loss in a restaurant, okay? Because it costs the most money at this point for us, because it has the biggest part of the bond that we are paying back. The other thing that is obvious here is that probably the discussion would be not going on this long, but our banquet numbers are way down. We're not doing that many banquets. And that is the real profit engine at this place. And that's what we have to figure out, how to do banquets here. And get more banquets in here, and I think that would ease a lot of the tension that's going on right now. And that money then, you know, would cover some of the expenses of the restaurant.
In fact, this young lady here's been waiting to speak
No, I
all
just,
night.
you know, if we're gonna wanna give the members a discount or a benefit, you charge more for the weddings that come in, you know, somebody came in to look for a wedding. The outside people are the ones who should be paying a little more to use this place than the members. You know, you get a bonus for the membership, and if you're not a member, you have to pay a little extra.
Just like us non-residents.
Mrs. Scully, you had a comment?
That's right.
Just like us, non-residents.
It seems like if anything went wrong, perhaps it was again a process issue where it seems like Jim might have been able to do a little better job of figuring out what the problem might have been and working out this specific situation. But one of the questions would be, if food don't make money on the food, I would want my manager, my salespeople to definitely have a bar package and have 3 bar packages, top shelf, non-top shelf, beer and wine. And I think the sales staff needs to be trained, because that's where we're making our money. That client never should have got just a food price, because I make my money on the liquor. I should have definitely given him the price of the liquor.
We do have that, we do have that.
I don't think he got it, because I know him as well. So my point is, perhaps there's just a little breakdown in communication. And again, if you would have been made a prize of the situation, you could have helped out as well. Also about banquets in the bar, again, making our money on the liquor, perhaps we could do something with the bar to attract more people to make it more barish or pubish, because it certainly isn't a bar right now. That's for another day. And then the last thing is banquets. I know we have a full-time chef, but for the future, if we could figure out a way to let people bring caterers in, to bring their caterers in, we don't have to worry about food and all that stuff. We're renting the facility, we can still leave the staff. And so I think we got to try and figure out a better business model.
We also do that.
Sorry?
We are doing that.
So they could bring in their own caterers?
We've advertised to 7 caterers already.
And then I asked the lady in charge of the events, have we done stuff like trying to contact the wedding photographers like Peter Oberg and some of the other photographers that used to work here, have like a little open house, not to spend the money like we did early on for the members, to bring the flower people, the wedding planners and stuff like that, to bring them back to this destination so that they're aware of it, so they're selling the place for us.
We have not had an open house with the donors.
Okay, so just like more creative thinking to help us generate revenue. We've got to generate revenue here.
All right, we're going to take one more last request before we move on to the next agenda.
Okay, so as a member, if I was going to rent out the hall, I'd say, yeah, I would like a discount because I'm here, I'm supporting, I'm doing everything. The other thing I think about that is if I run a function here or have a party or banquet function, you don't know if some non-member is going to come and say, damn, that place is so awesome, I'm going to go, I'm going to do this, blah, blah. And now you're going to give them the price that you would give an outsider because they're not a member. So having it as a discounted for our members, I don't think is a negative. I think it's actually a real positive because I know me and my husband, I mean, we've spent our $300, I said this last time, we've spent our $300 already, and we're working on our next 300. But we bring friends here who aren't members. So it's sort of like, I'm getting a discount, I guess. I came for lunch and I got a 10% discount, and I was like, this is great. I'll come more often. Instead of my meal being $20, it was only $15. I'm happy. If I'm happy, my friends are gonna be happy. Am I right?
And you're marketing.
And I'm marketing. I'm like, you gotta go, you gotta come with me. So I feel, yes, discounts is awesome.
And somebody else is gonna come and look for us.
What, the bottom line is, I'll do anything you want. I've been asked, time and time again, that I'm supposed to show that this place can make money. I've been asked to show that it can make money to show that you can run your RFP, to show that you can go out into the marketplace. I can do anything you want. If you want me to price the events better for the members, I'll do that. But you won't see numbers like this if you do. Even with volume, you won't. Because you're not making money at a party, you can do 1,000 of them. You still aren't making any money.
You're not making money on the member parties. You are
Right, that's
making
correct.
money on the parties
Now, and
that
the more member
person
parties that you do, the less outside events that you do. So I can run this club any way you want. You haven't told me to do it this way. Okay, you've told me to do something entirely different. So I'm happy to run your club the way you want. It's just that this is the first time I'm being asked to run it the way you're now asking me to do it. So, you know, I'm happy to accommodate this any way you like.
Chris, just one quick comment before we move on, because Rick had it right at the start. The first comment, the first comment you had was the best one. But you've asked this guy to do something, he's gone ahead and done it. As I said, bronze and put him out in front of the club. The more data you get, the more you're able to figure out whether we're making money on banquets, back to Angela's point of view, whether we're overcharging members, whether we're making money on lunch, whether we're making money on dinner. As a committee, as a commission, you guys can start to figure that out. You figure out the mandate. You guys figure it out. Just how much you ask them to do, and the more data you get, the easier it's going to be to kind of figure out the answer to all this. You're on the right track.
Chris,
There's one last comment.
I'm just going to augment what Bill said. Jim just said earlier that Greg came up with the $20 a head, which I assume makes money.
A little, maybe
a little, but I mean, I assume your man would have been pleased at a $20 a head response.
Right.
It seems to me that we should have a $20 head, a $30, a $40, $50. And give people a choice and say, here's what we can do for that. I think that's what you're saying, Jim.
We do it.
But I hear the numbers here, 64 and
His last
77.
comment to me was, I felt so bad, I couldn't bring my mother-in-law to my club so she could say, well done. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the next agenda. We want to get a pool update from Gary Glanty and the pool contract.
Okay. We had a pending issue last time we met, and that was whether we were code compliant with our diving board for diving during open swim. I confirmed that with an honest to God measurement right in the pool today, and it does match up to the blueprints that I have, which shows that we are code compliant. I'll follow that up with Mark Boda, which is the inspector from the health department, and have our records corrected in their files, because that's where the error is.
Did you change the 1 to 2?
I want his approval before I contact that. The second thing was you guys gave me permission to get rid of our CPO last week, and since then, you guys wanted to grab. Our chemical levels have now leveled off since he left, and that's what was going on beforehand. So, for the sake of all your swimmers, I appreciate that. So, John wanted to have
Are we still heating the pool when it's 300 degrees
No.
outside?
As far as the new contractors, that's what we were talking about, whether we had enough with these guys, and I certainly do think we have. I broke it down to weeks to make it more sense. In other words, how much it's going to cost per week. The new company gave us a price of about $15,000 a week to operate the pool. What we were paying the other company was $11,500, So is it a little more? Yes, but it's probably more realistic. I do believe that the original contract was under bid from the get-go, which is why they're having so much trouble as it was. So you'd have to consider whether you want to pay the difference. I do believe this company could give us what we asked for, and they seem enthusiastic enough to try to make it happen. Just to give you a little update, if we, at this point, it would be 5.5 weeks. If we do this on August 1st, in other words, go to a new company and break loose with the other company, that would be 5.5 weeks left for the season. It's a 14-week season, so the difference was 8.5 prior to that. Under the old contract, that would mean that we should have paid them approximately $97,000. From what I found out, I think we paid them $120,000 at this point. So that would do us $22,000 refund from that contract. Besides lost services, in other words, services that they were supposed to supply that didn't supply, well, I don't know how you want to handle that. If you want to pursue it, you certainly can. I could supply most of that data and back it up, but considering I wasn't here all the time, spotty as far as my role in the pool, I could verify most of it. So that's the difference between the two companies. If you want us to keep the chemicals in-house, I didn't price that in this. I assumed that you want to keep that going, and we can do that for the rest of the season, myself and Frank, which is our in-house staff, and we maintain that.
So that's it, if you do the chemicals for the rest of the season, does it save us any money with the new company?
Yes, because you wouldn't be going for the CPO, which was costing $1,500 a week. If Frank and I are doing it basically on our existing time here during the week on our existing shift, and that would only require us to come in 1 to 2 hours each day on the weekend. So would it cost you something? Yes, maybe $200 to $300 versus the $1,500 for the outside. That's up to you. I talked to Frank, we would cover it for the next 5 weeks, if you wanted it. Do you have any other questions?
What facilities is the new company handling now?
You know, I don't have a good record, and I'm gonna check that out. I didn't have time, we only met 2 days ago. So I wanna know if they could actually do the function, whether they could supply the manpower. The reason why they have the manpower available is because a pool that they're handling now, they had a problem, it's an indoor pool, and the ceiling's falling down, and the city's making them close the pool for the season, that's how we're...
Can I just, sorry, Gary,
Yeah.
can I ask what your name was and what the question, I didn't even hear your question to Gary.
I'm Michael Brennan, and my question was, what facilities is the new company that he's recommending, who are they handling?
Thank you.
And I haven't done that research, if you'd like me to do that, I have no problem doing that. But since it was just 2 days, I haven't...
You just step back. So have we gone through contract with a new pool company?
We have a proposal. We have a couple things we would have to do to get out of the existing contract, which we need to probably do an executive session, because there are some issues there of legality that we need to talk about. There's a process involved in each. So I think that, you know, if that's the commission's wish, it can be done. We have a proposal in place and a willing vendor. We can talk about that as well. So there is an option if you want to change that contract. Correct.
I'm not really that familiar with the pool because I've never been a pool member, but Gary, you used to do what you're now doing again and then were pulled off? Is that correct? Okay, and the reason for that was because, what's the reason that he had this job and everything was fine with the water, from what I understand, right? And then we hired an outside company to do it, and then we had all these problems with the water and staffing and whatnot. So why did we outsource it? What was the reason for that? And whose decision was that?
Gary's our facilities person. He's not just our pool person. And if you notice, we have a huge backlog of facilities problems that needed to be addressed. So one of our primary concerns in trying to get the snack bar operating, the kitchen operating, was we have 2 people on staff, Gary and Frank, that's it. The pool's a full-time job plus. We allocate about $20,000 a year in overtime to make sure that they're in here on weekends, on extra time, on holidays, on double time. So we thought that overall we needed their expertise managing the facility and trying to bring in a professional to manage the pool. That was a decision that was made. The CPO that we brought in didn't work out. We still have the backlog of facilities issues. We still have the same problems, but we're going to focus more of Gary and Frank's energies the next 5 weeks on the pool. In other areas that we are having problems, like the air conditioning broken in this building, we have controllers that still haven't been replaced in the kiddie pool. Things that normally they can get to, they won't be able to get to because their time is spent. The pool is a full-time job. So those are issues.
So what I'm asking, I guess, is it more cost effective to have Gary handle the pool for the rest of the season and have somebody else help out with the facilities, whatever needs to be done that's not being addressed, as you said? Is that more cost effective to do it that way?
We don't have anybody to hire as a facilities person. If you remember, in the past, we hired people through the staffing agencies to do that, and we decided that that was not cost effective. Those people were very expensive under the contract.
I'd like to say something. I am a pool person, and I'm there every day for many, many hours. I start very 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm there in the evenings and everything else. And I'm so glad to have Gary back as running the pool. The other man, the certified pool operator, did absolutely nothing. He walked around, and he did nothing. He checked the water every couple of hours, and that was it. You know, that's all he did. He didn't teach the guards, he didn't instruct anybody, nobody. The guards have no instruction whatsoever. Thank God that Gary is there, at least now. The pool is clean, the chemicals are fine, he vacuums all the time, and he has the other man, Frank, I think his name is, comes over and vacuums the pool and hoses down the deck. That wasn't done. Nobody did anything. You know, so thank goodness for Gary. You ask him for do something and he does it. So I don't know, you can certainly find someone else to do the other facilities around here, but Gary knows the pool, and that's it. So I don't know, and that pool company was terrible. We had Kate, who was the chief operator, she came over. She was no good to anybody. She was bringing food in and giving it to the guards up in the chairs. We can't have, as members, have food in the pool. And she told someone, well, that's too bad. I'm doing what I want to do, you know. So there were no rules, no rules. The guards don't exchange properly. They got rid of the good guards that we had last year. They had them work, they wanted them to work 50 hours and only get paid for 40. They cut back on her salary and everything else on a couple. This is ridiculous. So I'm pleased that Gary is back where he's supposed to be.
Good job, Gary. I suppose that's that in regards to the pool. And we will move on to the commission election updates. DJ, please.
All right, so it was Friday. There's a couple extra copies here, so if people want. But Friday was the last day for submitting interest in running for the commission. This year, our list is we have 8 people. 2 are incumbents, Angela and John. We also have Matt Cunningham interested. Bob Maggio, Akil Kumar, Leon, Sculpey, Barry McGowan, James Morgan. All these members are in excellent standing at the club. So Terry and myself, we've met on them. There's absolutely no reason why they all shouldn't be on the ballot. So that is our recommendation to the commission for these 8 folks to be put on the ballot. We're looking for, there are 3 spots up for election, and the terms are for 3 years. Okay. So no issues? Okay.
What's the number share there on balance?
What's that?
What does the ballot number represent there? It says 2000.
Oh, yeah, no, so I'll explain. So basically, between now and when the elections take place, a couple of key deliverables. First off, I'm going to reach out to all these folks. We need to get better pictures of each one of them. They'll email a picture in because what we have on file is really not that good. We will, I have to finalize with, we've all agreed that we'll continue with the online voting again. So we'll use the same company. The cost will be about $1,300, okay? And there will be 2,540 ballots that go out.
What was last year's number?
It should have been the same, but I think there may have been some confusion last year in that we only had one email address on account for comprehensives and for family pools, and they're qualified to have 2 votes.
Right.
So Angela and the staff here have been reaching out to those members to try and make sure that we have their email addresses, because they will all get ballots. Okay? And we will, Terry and I are recommending again, like we did last year, we have a Meet the Candidates forum. We're suggesting at 6 o'clock, so that's an hour before the August 28th meeting. And there'll be a chance for folks to come in like we did last year. The candidates will answer a couple of questions from us, and then we'll just open it up for some random questions from the audience. Some logistics issues is we have to arrange for kiosks, one at the pool building, one at the golf building. I'm recommending so that folks, maybe they're not really tracking emails, they still have a place on the campus to put their vote in. Okay? And we will send the ballots out the day after, 29th, and we'll let it run until September 9th. Okay?
How many candidates are we voting for?
3. There's James Morgan is a non-resident. Lives in White Plains. Yeah.
Why do you have an election so close to the end of the season for the pool? Why don't you have it earlier?
It's there's 2 weeks,
There's a week left, there's 2 weeks left?
2 weeks
Yeah.
left then.
Okay.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks.
On the Meet the Candidates Forum, I'm Bruce Benke. That's the last week of the summer, huge vacation week. Maybe you could have something
Right.
the Wednesday after Labor Day, 2 meetings if they...
Well, the other thing, what we wanted to do was, we wanted to get the elections in well in advance of closing of the pool, because last year we tried it after pool closing, and I think that, it's just not in a lot of pool members' mind, keeping tabs on the club. So it's either got to be that day or it's got to be before that day.
I'm suggesting you have 2, maybe an official forum the first day, you're suggesting maybe an informal
Come back for another
Wednesday
one.
in case somebody misses.
Well, we have
Just an
the
idea.
capability of Leon videotaping it, and we can run it every night on Right TV.
Right. Or at the club, on the
Or
boards, right.
on the monitor.
So we'll,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Historically, the turnout has been pretty weak, so, we figure we're having it at the end of August, it's supposed to November. We're hoping to strengthen that a little bit.
No, so that's the recommendation, so I guess if nobody has any issues with any, I've checked with, the office, all the members are in excellent standing, so I don't see any reason why any of these folks are not going to be on the ballot.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates.
Yes.
All right, we move on to the next, various membership requests.
Yeah, actually, maybe before we leave, I'm not sure where to fit this in. One of the things we talked about in finance, the finance committee, and I think I emailed the commission members about, Charlie and I did, is whether we want to implement the late season program, which we did last year, and it allowed people to join for reduced rates starting August 1st to the end of the season, subject to a commitment that if they did that, they would have to join for the next year, which in this case would be 2014. And I think the rates, I think there were 3 categories we did. I just looked at it
Yeah, the
last year.
family pool, the IDG, and comp.
Yeah, and 375, 840, and 1200.
Right.
My recollection is those rates were the same whether you were resident or non-resident.
It was a single rate.
Single rate, but then when you joined for the following year, you stepped into whatever category you were based on resident versus non-resident. And I think we had, was it 12 or 13 new members that joined as a result of this. So, again, I think it's a question for the commission. Do we think it makes sense to do it again this year?
I'm totally in favor of that.
And do we think these, I would suggest that if we're going to do it, keep the same rates and there's no.
And the commitment is if they join, they have to commit to joining next year.
Correct.
What they say?
In the same category, right?
What if they say no? What do we waiting for?
I don't know what we've done in the past.
And they've signed a piece of paper, so it's functionally a contract, so I guess you can have the same issue.
No matter what.
I suppose you can. But we could say.
Why don't you make them pay for 2014, saying that?
So, again, we could do that. Question as to whether we would want to do that, whether that could be off-putting.
It worked last year. We had 13 people who came in August and then became members this year.
How many people signed up for it?
I don't know.
I don't think we had any, people
It
that.
captures a lot of people who are new to the area, a lot of people who move into town, they don't really know what they're doing. This is a great facility, they've got an instant pool and golf, and you know what, it gets them in the groove so that they do join the next year. Because August is a big movement time.
How have we communicated that? I don't recall how we got that.
Yeah, I think we used.
It was in the
we
Joe
got postcards.
it was in the Rye
I remember. Something was around local.
It was in one of the local.
Low Hut, Ryder, Patch.
It's probably worth maybe, having your committee spending a little bit of money to put it out.
Can we get it on the scroll of the city?
What are you doing for the non-residents?
It's the same.
No, I mean, advertising, considering it's 3 times the amount of revenue.
That would be lowhut.com, and that would get paid for the weekend.
That's where you want to put it.
Just to
So do we have to?
Is the revenue
make
coming back?
motions?
I would suggest we probably, yeah, so I would make a motion to, you know, plan the same in terms of last year. And then apply it the same way. We'll go with Scott and question office in terms of what it looks like and get it out so we can put it in place starting, you know, we can join whenever, but August 1st will be the first thing.
I'm second.
All in favor?
Since we're voting on stuff. Can I bring something up? Before we move on to the committee and, so we all got an email requesting a full member to have golf privileges this Friday with 3 other authorized PGA employees, right? PGA Tour employees. So I would like to put it on the table in motion to allow this individual with these guests to come have privileges this Friday to play at the guest fees for all 4 of them.
I second that.
Who are they?
They are, well, am I supposed to tell you who the member is?
No.
3 clients of the PGA Tour out, doesn't say who they are.
What time are they playing? I think I had a tea time that day.
I don't know who they are, but I think it would be great publicity.
It is good publicity.
They're just employees, right? They're not.
Well, you don't know who they are, do you? They can be batty. So anyway, I would like to,
Clients. I say take the revenue and run, Bob.
Yeah.
Take
They
the
said the
revenue
base
and
was
run.
over to PGA.
I'm a favor, yeah.
Take a vote.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
thank
That's
you.
it. And the
I have 3 member requests.
oh, so I'm sorry.
Based on the approval of the August prorated fees, I have 1 member. Would that apply to a family membership at the pool for this person, for that family?
Yeah, but they have to understand they have to guarantee for next year.
Yeah, actually, she says she wants to join for next year,
So
so.
that would be it. What's the figure for family pool?
375.
I have a comprehensive member, played 2 rounds this year, tour attendant. Will be unable to play for the remainder of the year, would like reimbursement of the full dues or defer to 2014.
Twice.
Play twice.
When did they come in?
The comprehensive.
When did this come in?
Yeah.
July 14th.
When did he get hurt?
Well, actually, no, he wrote this, but he wrote it to my office just yesterday. He's played twice. Second time he played, he said he tore his tendon, he had surgery on the 21st.
July.
May.
And just bringing it to us. He's just bringing that to us now.
Is this a comprehensive membership?
This is a comprehensive member.
And what's he looking for?
He's asking for his full resident dues back or defer to 2014.
For the whole comprehensive?
Yes.
What about his other family members?
He has a few sons, he says they have not used the club this year.
It's comprehensive. His family
go
has
for a
been
swim?
pool, nobody else plays golf.
You can't have the pool.
We don't agree.
All refunds, all in favor?
He's asking to roll it to next year.
Roll it
Is that what
over.
he's asking?
Guarantee he comes back
Well,
next year,
this
roll
goes
it
back,
over.
well, can I make
Either full or apply to
this
2014.
goes back to my earlier request. Can you find out how many people are on this membership, how many times they've come to the pool, how many times, other than him, have used the facility?
Yeah, I know it said something in here, I'll verify it, but.
Is that determines whether we just say
The 3 boys are at camp, haven't used the pool this season to date.
Was it what? Well, I say get on
But
it.
they wouldn't-
all
they would
of
not-
us
When it was 3 boys are at camp, that's
24.
not the problem with the club. That's
And
not
he
decided to do with the
had
club.
surgery in May.
That's nothing to
How long has he
do
been a member
with
of my club?
26 years.
Push it to next year. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Play it.
I would say bring it back to August when we have it, and I would also say that I would not recommend a full refund. I'm I'm sorry, you can't.
Absolutely not.
That's right.
No refund, no refund, and I wouldn't
No,
recommend a
no
full
refund,
carry.
maybe
It's
some
not full
rollover
carry.
for next year. You gotta look at what really went down.
Yeah.
Why don't you verify the last date they used the
See
club?
some medical records.
Prorate what was left from that.
Exactly.
4/28,
Defer that
he
towards
was in
fee for next
he was in the
year.
opening
He's a
scramble, that was the
26
last day he played.
Yes, but it is July 24th, and we're just getting this now.
That's right, he just brought it to my office the other day.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, there's 2 months that lapse
Right,
between the opening scramble and now.
It's also comprehensive, it's not just him.
right.
And it's his kids,
Right.
I'm just
You can
saying.
use- you can use the pool
Let's
for-
confirm.
I do think that-
Nurse, how's it going to make this?
Or you just deduct whatever the monthly bill would be if you divide it amongst the 12 months.
I mean,
Don't you deduct them until the day you got the thing and
So
boom,
you want me to
done?
verify the use of the club?
Yeah.
And then it all like the numbers, the last time you used it, how many times you used it.
What are you doing? I'm not getting it. I haven't gotten it.
Third is a member who has not used their minimum from 2012. I just got this an hour before the meeting. Called and said that they were told that they met their minimum. They do not know who they spoke to, but they want their money back.
The answer is no.
No, I can't make these things up, you know.
Calls.
Liar, liar, liar.
The staff was
No.
extremely clear. The answer is no.
That's it?
Approval of the minutes.
Well,
Oh, we have somebody.
we do, any
Someone's got a
members
question.
wishing to be heard on certain items, non-agenda items?
That's accurate.
Thank you. Bill might be able to give some feedback. I'm kind of curious as to how we can have the membership at large. I mean, particularly what's going on in the past, you would think it would be a great initiative. I don't understand why we have 15, 20 people at the meetings and not like 150 or 200. And even that, it's, 15 or 20% of the membership. Like, what can we do as the people that are here? Because I tell the guys that I play golf with all the time to come, they never come. And I'm sure you guys do too.
Leo goes to bed at 6, so he ain't coming.
Is there anything we can do as a group sitting here to, because the more people you have here, you really get a lot more accomplished and a lot more insight to things.
Half price on drinks?
There you go. They'll be here.
Free food.
This might not be a bad idea if you don't mind.
So does anybody have any suggestion? I really think it's an important issue that we never discuss.
I think, Bob, you, like many of us, have the same issue. And again, given what's gone on here, you would think more members would want to be engaged and to hear what's going on. And it's just human behavior, though. You talk to your foursome, I talk to my foursome, and for the last 12 months, nobody comes. You can't make people come. If they don't have an interest in it, you can't force them. If they don't think it's important to them, they're not going to come.
The funny thing though is when you're on the golf course and you run into different people and they'll say, well, I wish the club would do such and such. How come we can't do, and I've said to them, why don't you come to the meeting? Why don't you come to the meeting?
What do they say?
They don't say anything.
They don't say anything.
Wait, we had this meet and greet thing you were talking about, right? So kill two birds with one stone. You wanted to
Yeah,
have
but
a meet and greet.
That's the commission.
The last time that they met, oh, it's not before the meeting?
Yeah, you just before the meeting.
Well, we did two of them. And then entice them to not leave anyway, to hang out and see me. I think if they get involved in a meeting, they'll come back. I did. Why did I come in for?
Why have you come back?
Why have you come back?
Coming back.
This is interesting.
I'll ask for an opinion, I'll give you mine. No offense to Mr. Pickup, who's sitting in this room. But the more we take control of our destiny, and the more we tell the city of Rye to get out of our life, and the more we establish our right to control this club, the more people are going to feel that they have charge of their destiny. This is Patrick Henry sitting in the Virginia House of Burgess in 1768. That's what this is all about. The more we push them out of our lives, the more we control our budget, the more we control our destiny, the more people you'll have in this room. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And whether that means that we
Yeah.
have to have 150 people, all voting, tax-paying residents of the city of Rye, show up at city council meetings and pour gasoline on themselves and jump up and down until this stuff stops. That's what it's going to take. And once you do that, and you have control of your destiny, and you can do what you want, and this place will be packed, full drinks or not. That's what it boils down to.
And I agree with you. Let's get everybody to City Hall because they don't go there
That's
either.
No, they
where- it's
don't.
not these
That's
people
where they
at
need
City
to
Hall.
be, that's where the members need to
I
show
travel
up.
too much, I can't do it. I'm sure we're in a hard.
I would have gone, but I was 1 day notice.
I'm just saying, if you don't live in the city, you don't know what.
Well, we also just get an email that says there's a meeting tonight. Maybe if in the
No,
email.
The agenda's on that.
It's
City
on it?
coun-
Okay.
The agenda was in your email,
Okay,
but it's
good.
the city council that the residents,
That's where you need to be.
people, the members have to go.
Right.
That's where it starts and it carries into here.
We sit there at our next
More
round
than
on the
likely,
block
you
and we're
can
trying to
manage on
keep
the
it
back,
going.
the better off you are. That's
We have order. Leon,
I
please.
had two items, but just to piggyback off that last point. If you're gonna go down to City Hall, members, go with care. And you need to bring the meetings to the members. If I were a member of this commission, I'd want to have one down at the pool deck. 7, 8 o'clock before the pool closes. I think we should have one out on the porch there and highlight our facilities. I took pictures, right, Keith? I never saw that room upstairs, that big room that they charged your friend $300 for. It's beautiful. We should have one. I mean, I don't know this club, and I've been a member here. We need to get the members involved in this club every way we can. Commission meetings, we got to go to them. And people can decide for themselves they want to go down to council. The two things I wanted to put on the commission's table. One is, you guys got to start to think about how we can hire an independent company to film these meetings. And to have nice introductions, commissioners' names, quick out, posted to our website, every single meeting. That needs to go onto the agenda, that needs to get discussed. These meetings should be filmed. It will help, participation among the members. You can run them, not that anybody wants to see these meetings, maybe highlight some down there, hopefully they're good meetings. We have televisions around here, in the bar, whatever. And the second thing is, I just want to go back to the pool a little bit. Because I spent some time down at the pool over the last couple of weeks with, when I was down there, one of the guys from American Legion, the vice president was there. I had a conversation with him, this is not crazy stuff. Francesca I spoke to. And I understand after the CPO was let go, just a couple days later, the head lifeguard, I think he quit or was fired. So there was a day when Gary had to, maybe it was his first day on, he had to shut half the pool down till you get the staff and this and that and blah, blah, blah. I just want to know for myself, and maybe Art's the best person or Gary to answer this. Francesca told me 7 lifeguards plus a head lifeguard was optimum for running that pool. Is that the number that my kids need to be safe in that pool? Because she said 4 in the big, 1 in the little, 1 on first aid, and then a manager.
I disagree.
Okay, so I'd like to know your guys' thought on that.
Well, let me give you scenarios, Leon. You got 1 lifeguard on the diving board. You got 2 diving boards. Okay. With 7 guards, you got 1 in the lap lanes, 2 in the shallow end, 1 in the baby pool, 1 in first aid. That's all your guards. You got 200 people in the pool because it's 95 degrees. Kid hits his head on the diving board, he's unconscious, and he's sinking in 13 feet of water. Okay? What is that guard going to do? That company right now has no way for him to tell the other guards what he needs to do. And if he needs to do it, he's going to need help. And there's no way he can have help because everybody else has a function at that point. So no, 7 guards is not safe for that pool, in my opinion.
And which brings me to my next question is, how many did we contract for from that company?
I believe they were supposed to have a floater, so that there was always somebody who could respond and assist another guard in an emergency. I've never seen a floater walking around. They've said that, well, that's the head guard. Well, okay, there's supposed to be a head guard and a floater. So, which is it? I've never seen them, in my opinion, when I've been pulling, it's not as much as I wish this year, where they've had what they said was going to be in the contract.
And then, it seems like they weren't delivering services, perhaps. There's a big question that I assume in executive session or whatever is going on. But I'm curious, and if you guys are trying to manage, if we could somehow have any liability in this relationship. I know there's always 2 sides to the story, and I hope that I'm sure we're considering that. And a long time ago, before we hired anybody, I had asked who was, managing the pool. And I believe at that point, Jim had been, focusing on just the castle. And Gary had been not in the picture. So, this contract got put together at some point. So, hopefully this new company we're talking to, I guess the question is, are they one of the first companies that bid on this?
They are. They were the second place bid.
Okay. So, I guess they didn't come in first the first time, so hopefully we're being really cautious with this and that if we do whatever we got to do, that we've got, somebody good in place.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously going to proceed with caution. Originally, we wanted to have our own CPO pool manager on site. I don't know what we're going to discuss in executive session. I know there were some meetings today with American Leisure. I think we need, in that new contract, specific language that says, Gary can tell them, okay, this is not right, you need to do this, this, and this. Okay? He has to have some authority, and this has been a problem ever since we went to the contract companies back in 2006, that they basically thumb their noses at us. If they don't want to do what we tell them to do, they're like, well, we don't work for you. We're a contract company, talk to our boss. If they tell us, then we'll do it. Well, that's not effective. So I'm hoping that whatever we do proceed with, somehow we can have authority over them, at least to tell them what they need to do.
And then how feasible, and I know nothing about pools, is it for us to put that system in place sometime in the near future? We don't have to hire a company and we can do it ourselves.
I mean, I don't know what it was, February or March, I sat up here and was the lone voice. There was a lot of people in the audience, some backing up, some didn't. I felt that we should have a pool manager or pool director, okay, who hires the guards, makes sure they're trained, makes sure they're certified, schedules them, just like I did back in 2005. Is it as cost effective? I don't know. I mean, I've never been able to see the numbers because the numbers aren't retrievable from when I ran the pool. I can tell you this, when I was hired, I asked for a budget in 2005. I was told by Scott why. No budget, you staff the pool the way you want to make it safe. So I did, and I had a lot of guards. I think I had 20 on staff. Now, were they there every day? No, but I had 2 staffs. So if an emergency happened, I have a whole staff to respond to an emergency, and the pool can continue to function. Which for me is how I think should be safe, which was what I was asked to do. I was brought up here with Gary, and I don't blame Gary for this, I know what Scott's doing. He sat me down, bought me dinner or lunch, and when at the end of lunch he said, "You spent too much money." What do you say to that? I had a bad taste in my mouth the rest of the season, didn't want the job anymore.
You should have said you steal too much money.
That's right.
Are you familiar with the management contracts?
Yeah.
I am.
So I looked at that one versus the one of the company we hired this year, and the schedules look similar, but we had 19, 17, 13 lifeguards. If you added the managers, we had like 19. Did we actually pay for all those people, or and because this year we had 7, right? Or what? So
It was a bare bone staffing, and it was, we've had a very strong backlash after what occurred here. People were watching numbers, and unfortunately that's been too much of the focus, even for Jim. I mean, it's all about, oh my God, are you making money? Yes, we saw a decrease in what we spent for the pool management, and it was considered attractive, and that's what they went for. Personally, I don't think that's the way to go.
The last thing I would say is, and of course it's in hindsight, it's money more quarterbacking, but know that it's the kids over there, so, we want to have a nice junior golf program. I think, we want to make sure we have the pool adequately staffed, and if there's one place we got to spend, make sure we're spending enough money, the safety of the kids probably.
It goes along, and this is why I feel for Jim tonight. It's exactly the same thing. Yes, we subsidize the swim team, but let's look at how many out-of-town members come here because they want their kids swimming for Rye Golf, Division I team in the conference. They're successful year after year, and if you put a revenue stream towards that, yet we're not subsidizing. That's an attractive thing that people come here for. And you know what? Last week with the heat wave, I mean, that's as busy as I've seen the pool in 10 years. We need to keep them safe, or we're going to really screw ourselves up.
So if the number he said was 7 and you said it's insufficient, what is the number that would make it safe? Is it 8, is it 9, is it 10?
Gary, what do you...
And this may be why they felt I spent too much money. Personally, I would like to have 12 guards here at any given time.
So that's a huge increase.
You could go a little shorter, maybe 10 to 11, 30, 12. maybe a little shorter, 6:30 to 8. But you need to have 2 distinct staffs. So first of all, they can get out of that 90-degree heat and not have to have their boss come hand them ice creams on the chairs, which shouldn't be done. And so if there is a significant event, and God knows, thank God, we haven't had one, it can be addressed properly, and we don't look like fools in civil court afterwards.
So when you did this years ago, you had 10 to 12 people all the time?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's true. We were restricted. We were told that you're spending too much money, can't have it, gotta do more with less. And that's bare bones minimum to what we got down to. We have to meet code, so we have to have 4 guards on that pool to open the big pool entirely. That's code. So there's certain ones you can't go below, and that's about minimum. That contract did reflect that one floater for that purpose, to help them give.
They wasn't there.
But no, they weren't there, and then that company contended that's not enough anyway, we need more breaks. Hey, I think, at that point, to sign a contract, what do you think?
10 is a good number, like, what do you think?
No, I do think that area is a good number, 10, 11 people.
Well, they had
Because you
7.
need 1 or 2.
They had 7, you say that they're saying we need more, and we're saying 10 is a good number, so maybe they're wrong.
No, I'm sorry, I missed your point.
You said they were giving us 7. and
Well, that's what we were looking for.
Sometimes, but 10 is a good number, and they were saying they need more staff. Were they saying they need more staff?
They said they needed more staff, but at that point, we were restricted to this contract. I can't
I
authorize.
understand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I understand.
The other thing was,
Okay, sorry guys, we're gonna move on. Can we do the approvals of the May, June minutes?
We both sent them out, so if you get
Yes,
the
I read it.
email. So we just have to say they're approved, so we can give them to both.
Yes, but first, what did I do? I did last one, right?
You did June, I did
So we
May.
had no comments.
We approved them online, and we approved them
Yes.
before the vote.
And I think that we're going to executive session, all right?
So those are approved, right?
Yes. Minutes
Chris,
approved.
Chris, I got one comment with John, who's not here, well, John Duffy.
Okay.
John and I played the Westchester member guest this weekend, and we don't have bed grass greens here, which was our choice many years ago. But both John and I felt this course, Chip, was in as good shape as Westchester. Tees, fairways, bunkers, setup, the whole thing. You've done a hell of a job here, buddy.
Yeah, seriously.
And we're prettier than Westchester, both the south and the north.
Meeting adjourned.
We are a prettier golf course.
Executive session.
We are a prettier golf course. Not, how many, 10 of our 18 holes are on the water. Beautiful. You look on that 16 tee and you can see the houses.
You preach to us.
Look, look, look.